It's about animals. I mean, maybe it's about humans also, but it's about animals.
It's like the development of the region, the Levant, Israel, Palestine, in the last 150 years, through the eyes of animals, and we chose five case studies.
We start from this biblical notion of land of milk and honey, which is of course it's a biblical phrase, and it's a notion of how you imagine the space of this land. And it was for us, it's a good start as an architect because it was the way that the Europeans were imagined the land of milk and honey, or Palestine or Israel from Europe. So when Europeans imagine this place, they imagine it like in the Bible, like it's completely fertile and lush and green. And in the reality was completely different. So when European settlers came in the last 150 years, they were always a bit disappointed from the gap between the image and the reality.
The discussion about the fertility of the land crosses over to the discussion of why is the land barren? Why, if there's so much promise, why is it like under delivering? And so it's and again, in our view, it's a unique condition where like the mythical and the pragmatic modernity is coinciding. I think once the first time we talked about this, the curatorial approach, and then we understood, the way we talked about was that milk is obviously cows and honey is bees, and then suddenly it switched. It's not this is not something we pick off the land. It is actually a produce of an animal, and then it's our responsibility to create the space for this animal. And so I think this was the door into understanding what the relationship between these narratives and the spatial reality that developed here.
Maybe we should talk about the black goats. It's a good case study because goats are part of this landscape for since thousands of years. And when the European settlers came and were completely disappointed, and they were seeking for who to blame. And they decided to blame the locals and the local black goats. And they tried to eliminate the number of goats in the 50s. And they did a really good job. The number was declining. And it's a kind of a harsh story, but it have a happy end. In the last 20 years, there was in the academy a few researchers decided that the concept was completely wrong. Like the black goats are really good for the forest. They're not the enemy of the forest. They are like the friends of the forest.
The more, let's call it like spatial, or the sensorial part of the exhibition is that we created four habitats, some physical, some mediums. We made a very large box. The box is 8 meters by 180. And that box, we collaborated with the Steinhardt Museum of Natural History in Tel Aviv, which lent us their collection of endemic and domesticated animals from the last 150 years. And then lastly, we have a project about
War against bats. Bats were exterminated through the process of making food again. But like 20 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, suddenly two researchers found these traces of this kind of bats in the Jordan Valley, in an old bunker. And they got into the bunker and they found a huge community of bats that considered terminated from the land. Maybe it's an optimistic story or happy ending when you see it's a post-human condition. When we don't have humans anymore, you find again life create even in a bunker.
obviously it's a story of change, but it's not a story of extinction. Right? It's alignment or emergent. So I think we have a very romantic view of nature, and nature is changing, and we should accept that, and our responsibility in it. We started off from the Bible, and this is because I'm getting older. Then when man is being placed in paradise, the order is in Hebrew is lovda v'lashomra, which translates, I think, not so good in English to keep and to hold, but the actual translation is to work and to tend. So the responsibility is, we are in paradise. The responsibility is on us. If we don't work, if we don't cultivate, if we don't save, then it's our fault. We destroy the garden, and so if anything is being more active.